When is the last time you almost shit your pants?
That's not true.
Chocolate explosion. That's kind of fuck. God forbid we provide a service that people need.
I walked into the bathroom and a quarter of the toilet was like missing, like as if like a dinosaur had bitten the toilet off.
The $1.7 million restroom.
$1 million bathroom.
Yeah, $1.7 million.
$1.7 million. Or I am floored.
I just could cry.
Lauren almost made me cry.
Oh. Okay,
I'm about to cry. Like what?
managing publicly accessible private space is hard. Outfit. What are we doing?
We are here at Awaken Cafe
Okay.
to order coffee, use the bathroom, and talk to someone named Cortt. I don't know who it is.
Just a guy.
To talk about what it means to have access to restrooms and what the hell happened to the bathroom code.
So shall we get in line and get some
Let's go.
coffee? Okay, let's go.
And I really want coffee. That's
Yeah.
really what this is about.
Also, it's just really important to note that this is just like the community hub of community hubs
Correct.
in Oakland. It is at the crossroads of Broadway and what is it? 14th?
Telegraph and 15.
So dead center.
Well, the other thing is, like, I've been on so many first dates here. I have been offered jobs here. I've been interviewed here. Like, this is kind of the place that people, at least for me, start their lives in Oakland in a way.
Yeah.
And right around the corner is City Hall. And
Yeah.
so,
But in another sense, it's a coffee shop. We
Yeah,
all
it's a
go
coffee
to coffee
shop.
shops.
Yeah.
But we also go to coffee shops to what? Maybe use a restroom.
I don't know. Hey, okay, it's us.
Good morning.
Hey, how are you? I'm here for two things. One, coffee. Two, your bathroom code. Can I get a dirty chai latte, please?
DJ?
In the name of your manicurist. I was like,
Thank you. You like oat milk in your chai?
no, back to the bathroom discussion. Oat milk, please. Jesus, saboteur. God damn. What do you want, babe?
I would like, can I do a flat white, please?
Do you like whole milk in
Yes,
the flour?
please. Can we ask you a question about the bathroom? How many people a day would you say ask you?
I'm gonna say maybe like 100.
Really?
Yeah, the bathroom gets used a lot here. Cause it's like the only bathroom in the area. So we, you know, like there be people who come in only to use the bathroom.
Yeah.
Like we get bathrooms.
Got it.
And then if it's like the weekend or a protest or something, like I would maybe like double that
Ooh.
number, yeah.
And if you don't mind just asking, what is your role in the bathroom maintenance? Do you feel like is it a part of your job? Is there somebody else that comes in and
Yeah.
for how
we have to
often?
clean the bathroom. We clean the bathroom every day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
more than once.
Yeah, and if like you know something happens, then we'll clean it. Usually it's the first person.
So when you
say something happens.
that's actually what we're talking about today because it's important that we provide dignity and access for everybody who goes because everybody goes, but then there's stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I wonder.
So
like,
what's that something? You're like, get out of here.
For it, we call it
you
like a chocolate explosion.
Oh, that's
Probably
not
like
so much of a code
chocolate
word.
activities. I'm like, there's chocolate activities in the bathroom.
I feel like you actually like that term better because he doesn't like talking about
Me neither.
No, I just, I'm stealing that for my home.
chocolate explosion. Chocolate activities.
Oakland definitely could use another bathroom like in the area. 'Cause
Yes.
I feel like it's so like this is like a hub. You know, people are always here, but
Is there really not a public bathroom anywhere near here?
I mean, as far as I know, I don't think so.
Yeah. Holy crap. Holy crap.
Holy crap. Actual crap. Thanks, my love. Always a pleasure, never a chore.
Thank you.
I'll have your drinks right out for you.
Thanks.
So, did you get the restroom code?
What? I need to pee, damn it.
You're gonna have to shamefully.
This is my actual worst nightmare. Well, there's someone in there. I'll ask after
Okay.
she's done. Like,
That's not true.
chocolate explosion.
Warren, this is a very vulnerable moment.
The amount of shame I feel right now is very uncomfortable. I'm I'm going to acknowledge something that I would rather not acknowledge on camera, but that's the subject of the day. I am incredibly uncomfortable about talking about people needing to go to the bathroom.
Poop.
And
pee.
Thank you. Yes, because while everybody read the book, Everyone Poops, I didn't read that book. I feel like I read the book, Nobody Poops But You, and feel very ashamed about it. And
you're a bad person if you...
And I'm a bad person because of it. And so I will acknowledge right here and right now that I, Warren Logan, poop. Like, truly saying those words, like, gives me...
So proud of you.
Yeah, like my stomach just turned over a little bit, and that's fine.
But you do.
Yeah, but I do.
Because you're a human being.
Don't tell people that either. But the reason I think we're going to have the talk today is to understand something that I think a lot of folks who live in cities, I think, like, intrinsically see, but have not really examined themselves, which is the loss of, like, public bathrooms, and by extension, I think, publicly accessible bathrooms. You know, one of the biggest headlines a few years ago in San Francisco was the $1 million, $1.7
$7 million
bathroom.
restroom.
And it prompted a lot of conversations, right? Like, one, why is it so expensive to build a bathroom?
Right.
But also, whose responsibility is it to provide restrooms, publicly accessible restrooms?
Right.
And when we don't provide those, what are the downstream impacts? Whether it's the coffee shops among us that are now responsible for, like, being our public restrooms, which then means I would expect that their staff are janitors in ways that they're not equipped or necessarily responsible.
Or they're emergency responders in worse situations.
It also means, and, you know, in the worst case scenario, that people are using our streets as their bathrooms. And I'll just be candid with folks. You can't simultaneously be angry that someone is shitting on the sidewalk when we haven't then provided a place for people to go to the restroom in a dignified manner. And I'll fight you on that, like, because you can't be surprised because according to the book that I haven't read, everybody poops.
What are we actually mad at? Are we mad at the person for having a biological need and going outside?
I think superficially people are.
Yes, because there's this, like, somehow moral attachment to, like,
how dare you do the thing that we're all doing? Yeah, I do.
In private, because I have access to a place where I can do that.
I'll acknowledge the first level is like, God damn it, why are people shitting on the street?
Yeah.
The next part is like, why do we live in a society where we cause people to be shitting on the street?
Yeah.
Right? Like,
and it's quite shitty.
That, right. And today's, by the way, is going to be about puns, apparently.
It's about poops and puns, poops and peas and puns, because we cannot stop. And we're going to figure out how to get this unclogged.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Exit, eject button.
You're fired.
Yeah, I'm out.
Jail.
Yes. But I have several goals for today's episode. The first of which is to at least get people angry about the right thing. Second is to help our listeners and even ourselves understand, like, well, if the city or the public is not providing public restrooms, what are the impacts to our local cafes or name it, right?
For me, Warren, at the end of this, I would love, for everybody to have a better understanding and greater empathy around the issue itself, but also for people to understand the power that they have to advocate and ask for what is fundamentally like a right to access.
Yeah.
You know, and I think the problem is societally, we shame the issue, right? So we don't talk about it really as a problem. But then too, because we don't know who's responsible, because we don't understand the problem, how can we, like, rightfully advocate for something real?
I want this fixed, but I can't be any more specific than that. They should do something about that.
What I think happens once we have, like, more whole and complete conversations, we can come up with more creative and more, like, realistic solutions around it.
I'm going to intersect this conversation with two D words, design and dignity. And I'll kind of frame it in a couple of ways, because I think when I think about the public restrooms of my childhood, right, those little loos, that they are rarely well maintained, if at all, right? And I've heard this from my female friends, that you have to levitate.
You have to hover. It's talent.
Right. And I think a lot of us can, close our eyes and picture that restroom that has
It's a jail cell.
Yeah.
It's metal.
Yeah,
It's concrete.
Yeah, it's undignified. Right?
Undignified.
And
It's
so-
cold. What are we telling people about that design?
Today's gonna be a fun day.
Yeah.
We've got several folks we're talking to. We've
Yeah.
got quite a bit of travel going on. We're in multiple
We're
cities
zipping
today.
around.
Yeah, but I'm excited.
I'm excited too. Let's see
Yeah.
what we find.
Cool.
Before we even reveal who this wonderful gentleman is, I feel like we should see the human behind him before we really understand the role that he plays in this topic.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I love that idea. Who are you, Cortt?
Well, I am a husband and a father and a Oaklander and basketball player and
Oh, you play basketball?
Get
play
it?
basketball. I am committed to community working. So what I'm up to in life is things that bring people together, that make people feel seen and acknowledged and appreciated and taken care of. And that's what brought me to
Beautiful, Cortt.
opening a cafe in downtown Oakland with a bathroom.
We'll get to the cafe and we'll get to all the things around the cafe. Cortt, when is like the last time you almost peed your pants?
You're asking about like the needed to go and haven't been able to
haven't been
find
able
the
to go.
bathroom. Yeah,
Yeah.
I can't remember a particular instance, but that's
Is that
rough.
because you have access to a bathroom nearly at all times?
I did live in a bus for a year and got pretty good
Oh,
about making my
yeah.
way into bathrooms that were otherwise
Okay,
not
so
open
wait,
to the
tell us
public.
about the bus and how you use the restroom.
So a friend of mine and I bought a literal Greyhound bus and converted it
We're
to
learning so much about Cortt right now. Basketball, bus. What's the next B? So you bought a literal Greyhound bus.
So we converted it, lived in it for a year, traveled up and down the West Coast. But because it had a bathroom in it, but if you used it, you would have to.
Then you've blown up the whole.
But
Just say that like
okay.
you were not allowed to use the
Well,
bathroom
yeah.
of the bus.
Worse than blowing up the bus is that you would have to deal with dumping the tanks that hold that. And that is like the grossest thing known to mankind.
Is that the grossest thing, or are we going to talk about it? Yeah, okay.
It's up
well,
there.
dumping your dumps. That's
Yeah.
like, but so you used it for number one?
Yes, mostly.
Okay.
If
There was a rule that you didn't take a dump in there.
I don't know if it wasn't like posted on the wall. Or
The unsaid agreement that
But
everyone
'cause
understood.
You knew that would mean you were responsible for
I see.
the later having to
Yeah.
dump out. That means getting this gross tube and like hooking it to the thing and putting it in a gross
It's
hole.
like the opposite.
I've
You,
camped before. I got
like,
it.
get out what you put in.
Yeah.
basically.
So we mainly used public bathrooms or, like restaurants and hotel lobbies for easy access to bathrooms. Grocery stores usually have
Grocery
them,
stores
and
for
then
sure.
not all have, like,
I totally agree with you on the hotel lobbies. You can just walk right in with confidence and be like, sorry, where's your bathroom? And
Yeah.
like, thanks.
you have like a pull suitcase that really helps.
Oh my god.
Yeah, but you have to strut. Like, I'm
Yeah,
doing
like-
business, but I'm here to do some business.
But okay, just to like close the book on this bus for a second. What do you think using the public restroom tell you about like the public restroom system in America? Because you uniquely were like driving around the United States
Yeah.
and using, like you said, so like the publicly accessible ones were in hotels, grocery stores, whatever. Did you use publicly funded on public space restrooms? And what was the difference in your experience? Like, is the system shitty? Pun intended.
Stop.
Yeah, I mean, there aren't enough public restrooms for the amount of peeing and pooing that needs to
That
happen
happens.
in the course of a day. And everyone is protective of their space because if you have a restroom in your business that's sort of open to the public over the course of 100 uses, there's going to be, maybe your toilet gets clogged or something happens that, gives you a little pause the next time you invite someone in there because no
always
one,
hits the fan. Yep. I'm sorry.
it's a lot to ask anybody to take on.
Yeah.
So you end up, I think, naturally starting to limit access to those bathrooms and eventually, outright, you see signs sometimes, this bathroom is out of order, and you're like, is it?
Is it out of order? Every time I see that, I always ask them, like, is it? But no. And they're like, you can use
Just like,
right.
Yeah, like I'll wink on the way in. You know?
Yeah.
But let's dive in then. So, the reveal, and for many of our viewers and listeners who probably recognize Cortt from going to Awaken Cafe in downtown Oakland.
he's not just a bus rider.
He's not just a bus rider or a father or a basketball player, a star basketball player, of course.
Of course.
One of the main reasons I wanted to connect with you, Cortt, is that I have...
Athlete.
Yeah, the athlete that is
Yeah.
known as Cortt, Lord, is that I have used your restroom in Awaken Cafe a lot.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean, like
Like a normal amount.
yeah, like a normal
Normal amount for the amount that you're there.
And let me
between a
yeah,
lot.
well, because I will explain in my shame, as I've already mentioned, that I've gone to Awaken Cafe since probably it opened. And I always remember that your bathroom is nice and clean and there's a code. And part of the thing that we want to talk about in the City People podcast is, what does it mean to have access in some form or another to bathrooms, but also from your perspective, like, what's it like being, in my opinion, damn near the de facto public restroom of
Yes.
downtown Oakland?
Yeah.
Like, what's it like managing all of that?
Yeah. So, I mean, a little bit about the history. We actually didn't have a code on the bathroom until the pandemic. So
Interesting.
my policy
So
is,
for like a decade almost.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Wow.
so my policy has always been, it's dehumanizing to have to use the bathroom on the street. People should be able to shut a door and use the bathroom, and
Mhm.
there aren't a lot of options. And we've always tried to make our space about, we understand downtown Oakland was here before us. We came
Yeah.
into this community and we're here to serve whatever is going on. And that includes people who are, living on the street or, in whatever
Condition.
condition
Yeah.
and state people are in, to people, at the highest levels of government and corporation offices. And as a bathroom that we've had open to whoever needs it, customer or not, over the years, it's known as that. So people come up and they're like, oh, the BART, attendant set me up here because this is the only bathroom in downtown Oakland, or Walgreens sent me over here. Someone from the city hall sent me over here.
It's known as that.
And as a result, it's the doors,
The door's always open.
It's like, it's people are in there nonstop from the moment there usually are a few people waiting outside to come in and use the bathroom when we open.
Mm-hmm.
And
Oh my
it's like
God.
that all day long until we leave.
And when did you decide to add the code and why?
We added the code during the pandemic just because we needed to have a little bit more control. It was at the time where we were checking people's vaccination when they came in and masks, all of that.
Yeah.
So we just needed a little more control of the space.
I want to repeat something that you just said and like make sure that listeners really heard it, which is that you are providing effectively a public restroom, at least a publicly accessible restroom, because of your stance on access, which I think is quite admirable. Congratulations.
That is
And
not what a lot of business owners feel.
And Cortt has literally laid out that several neighboring businesses, including public agencies, are effectively sending people to your cafe because of your policy. And I mean this as respectfully as possible, not just of you, but of our city government and of our transit agency, that's kind of fucked.
That's an imbalanced relationship.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, so we are definitely filling a need. People are going to the bathroom, whether they're going in a bathroom or not. And it is, there's a cost to it. So it's a lot. The demand, on us for the bathroom is not the only thing. Place to charge a phone, place to sit down for a second, place to fill up a water bottle, a glass of hot water to put, make soup with, or the demand is constant.
Yeah.
Something to eat, something like that. So the demand is constant. If I felt like I had the capacity to meet that demand on all those fronts at all times, we would have a full, open door policy to all that. And the typical person who is walking off the street, typical is the wrong word, because they come in just all different states, different capacities to communicate, to even understand.
State of mind.
State of minds, there's issues with mental illness, addiction, everything is mixed into this. So each person needs sort of a unique, a conversation.
That's another second of my time.
Right. So it's a lot to ask of my team. And because of that, if you allow 10 people to walk in off the street and use the bathroom, one of them is going to get in there and get distracted or intentionally stay in there. And, people are because it's so busy, people are starting to line up and, so we're having to knock and kick people out. And, invariably, you're arguing, an argument starts through the door.
And suddenly it is no longer about...
It's a different hazard.
Yeah, you're no longer a coffee shop. You're doing a whole bunch of other things.
Well, for example, an example of that is in the city, when BART reopened their bathrooms, they had to hire a company from outside to come in and just have a person stand 100%. At the bathroom. Yeah. Same thing as those self-washing bathrooms that are on the streets in San Francisco. Those bathrooms, they close, it cleans itself, but they found that wasn't enough. So each one of those now has a human being during the hours that it's open that stands outside, because the spectrum of things you deal with is so wide and complex that you can't, only a human being can figure out each individual interaction and keep things moving and kind of be accountable for the space. So it's a lot to ask.
Well, I would also say that just because you brought up the city and the different versions of taking care of the maintenance of the bathroom and making sure that things are safe is the cost that you bear is not only in the sort of stress of it all and the people power that goes behind it, but there are actual dollars that is a major imbalance, right? We're talking about $1 million to $1.5 million to provide a service that you are effectively providing for free. That imbalance should not be your burden to bear. How can we find a balance where business is playing a role, where the city is playing a role? Who should be responsible fundamentally? Because you've taken it upon yourself, because you as a person that we have discovered before all of this as a basketball player, father, bus writer, traveler, that you have this point of view, right? That says that we should be welcoming to all people, that we should. But that's so much for you to bear. You know what I mean? And to the tune of a lot of dollars, but also to just not addressing the underlying issue that is public access need. So we're trying to uncover that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, so my sense of and I've had this conversation with people at the city and
at city government.
At city government, also with the Uptown Downtown bid, who
Business Improvement District,
the business, who can tell you, because they log it, how many piles of poo they pick up every day, and, on the street. Everybody is pretty much aligned with the idea that there should be bathrooms.
Yeah.
So when you go to someone at the city and you're we need a bathroom, they're we've already been talking about this, we need bathroom. It's just when it gets to the actual putting it in place, the realization of it, where it gets
about
complicated.
That bathroom that you were talking about earlier, that you were that you were advocating for to be placed nearby.
So when the pandemic happened, I had a little more time on my hands, and I was okay, it's time. We need a bathroom in Frank Agala Plaza. And so we started advocating for a Portland loo to be installed in the plaza.
And just so you guys know, Portland loos are one of those standalone but permanent, smarter restrooms. Some of them are self-cleaning or whatever.
They're designed to be, so they're designed to be safe and hard to vandalize. They're in public places. They have kind of space at the bottom, so you can always check to see if there's someone in there before you go in. And it's very stainless steel kind of
rough city proof.
Yes.
Trying to be, yeah.
They were on back order during the pandemic. So we finally, the city ordered one. It took 6 months to arrive, and then they broke ground for it, but without talking to any of the other stakeholders and property holders in the plaza. And there were some objections to the location of it. And then before I know it, that particular instance of the Portland loo got installed at Lake Merritt, and nothing's happened since.
Just to kind of sync timelines here, I was a policy director in the mayor's office when Cortt was advocating for these Portland loos. So I'm receiving a lot of these emails from Cortt and his crew saying, where are the bathrooms going to go? How do we move this forward? And Now in retrospect, I continue to be quite frustrated at the sort of agreement on one hand, we just talked about this, that everyone aligns that bathrooms need to be provided. We even agree that, like, generally speaking, there needs to be public bathrooms in downtown and like near City Hall. And yet, what I hear from you, Cortt, and I've heard this from other stakeholders, is that where the city chose to place the one on the plaza became a flashpoint in a way that is almost ironic given the need that we all agreed to right before it got placed there.
Totally. And we've talked about the need for courage in some of these difficult moments, right? Where it's like, we know that there's a need. We all agree that there's a need. We are now putting resources to it. The courage comes from actually going for it and like kind of being unapologetic about the fact that like you need this here, regardless of what a few people are disagreeing with,
When Cortt, tell me though, like what, in your understanding, what was the issue with the location on this plaza that people were kind of wrestling with?
I think it was not, let's not do it there, but hey, can we talk about where it's going to be before we,
just put it down here.
Pour concrete and put this thing there.
Yeah.
I mean, kind of backpedaling. The one at Lake Merritt is also almost always out of order every time I've been by it, or someone's living in it or something. Yeah. So again, you can't plop down one of these bathrooms
and leave it like that.
Plop
down
one of these bathrooms without having maintenance. Either someone standing there with it or multiple times a day, someone checking on it. During the pandemic, they had porta potties in the plaza that they were trying. And again, it'd be a couple days where someone could use it. And then by day 3, it was someone had completely filled it with garbage or whatever, trying to jam a shopping cart in there.
Well, don't have a coffee shop owner who is constantly managing and making sure that people are happy in the space and that it's safe for other people. There's no eyes on.
So everybody's kind of working on it. It's really in the realization of it that it gets hung up very, people start talking about where to put it and you need access to water and, tap into a sewer. And then how is it going to get maintained? And is it going to attract people you don't want milling about?
It's the implementation part that people get so stuck on.
But I don't think it's that we need to have it be that complicated.
Yeah.
All of these, you've talked about their city and state and federal buildings. All of them have giant ground floor bathrooms. If they would just take overnight, you could make the decision that we're going to open up a doorway where you don't have to go through a metal detector or whatever. Just have a doorway that's just for that. Have someone standing there and allow anybody to use it. Problem solved.
Well, I'm going to go a step farther. Let's just assume you have $1 million to play with. You could retrofit multiple ground floor buildings so that, like, the door has a wall that only, I won't get into the architecture.
More new housing than you can build one bathroom
Correct.
with that money, which is crazy. I want to get your opinion on like some news that I've been hearing about public restroom access in cities, and that there are some cities, and maybe the bids are doing this, where they're providing funding for small businesses who are providing restroom access, but they have to commit to a level of access and there's like some guardrails around it. I'm curious if that would make a dent in your idea around opening the doors. And we have so many restrooms that are around this place that like it needs probably more than a stipend or something like that. Does it is it a drop in the bucket in terms of
a drop in the toilet?
Drop in the toilet.
Anyway,
I haven't heard of that. I mean, that seems to make sense. Basically a public-private partnership of sort of just to subsidize people who are sort of already doing it. I think it doesn't address just
the big issues.
Again, if you allow access to 100 people, a couple of those people are going to need a longer conversation or going to need to be run out of there once they get, like there's a management of it that a small business who is already trying to make it as a small independent business is a lot to ask. For years now that we've been providing these like public services to the downtown Oakland community, a place to sit, a place to charge your phone, a place to use the bathroom. I've been imagining that there was a space that was a standalone kind of lounge that was just open to anyone and that they could come in and sit down and use the bathroom and that there would be, hot water and a microwave and services like that. And that there would be people who were social workers maybe working there who could, if people needed access to services, but then also some security could handle, disruptive behavior and behavior that didn't work in that situation. And sometimes they're called navigation centers.
Yeah.
So we started that as a pop-up launch. So we're doing it now every Thursday in Francogawa Plaza. It's called Town Care Cafe. It's right now being run by Macro. So we donate all the coffee and hot water to it.
Oh my God.
From 8 a.m. till like 2 p.m. on Thursdays. They're out in the plaza giving away coffee. Now, having volunteered at that several times, I can tell you that every single person that walks up, you're like, would you like a coffee? And they're like, I would like socks. You know, like the conversation is never like
about coffee.
It's because ultimately
every person needs something different. So the more, you know, like circling back, if a restaurant opens their bathroom under this program of being, you know, where they're receiving supplemental money to have their bathroom open, they also have to manage all of these different conversations.
Because ultimately you're not a navigation center for the unsheltered. And that is not a criticism of like anybody in the spectrum, but acknowledging that this is the downstream impact or the downstream result of like a lack of access to housing and good nutrition. And truly, my personal opinion, until we solve for that, we're just going to keep talking about like what the bathroom code is and like why are people shitting on the streets.
Or we think about the worst case scenario, right, where we know that there is a wide range of the types of people that are using your restroom. So if you think about like getting some sort of like incentive or like funding or stipend or something, like we're actually just using all of that energy to solve for the worst case scenario and not the 50% of other people who are using the restroom and not blowing it up or taking a shower in there or whatever it is. And so, yes, that ends up being a lot more expensive than not having affordability and like access to meeting your basic needs in a city.
As we round out this conversation, that it sounds like there just isn't a silver bullet, but that perhaps it is a blend of many of the options, right? That yes, people continue to use your cafe for restroom access, but that also the Walgreens across the street should be doing the same, that City Hall should be doing the same, and truly BART is starting to open up their bathrooms again, but that ideally, if you're experiencing 100 people a day or more using your restroom, that's because no one else is providing that service. And that if we were all, forgive me, sharing resources and sharing the responsibility, that number should go down pretty significantly.
Well, so as you're talking, it's making me think, I mean, there's the need to use the bathroom, which is one thing. There's also, if you've been living on the street, the need to shut a door and have some space where no one else can get in your space and like just be alone. And so I see that as well, and just do the kinds of things we do in our bathrooms at home.
Yeah.
Scream into the void?
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Practice our monologues in the mirror.
Yeah, absolutely.
Practice our jump shots?
Yeah. So, you know, I think as we discuss this, what we're seeing is it's not like there's like people need to pee, we need to provide a place to pee.
Yeah.
It's a little bit more complicated that there's a lot of layers to it, and what's needed is complicated. I've literally had in our bathroom on 2 separate occasions, once where I walked into the bathroom and a quarter of the toilet was like missing, like as if like a dinosaur had bitten the toilet off.
How?
Maybe someone's standing on it, or
So it just broke off?
like there was just a chunk. Yeah. And then I had the same thing happen with the sink, where the corner of the sink,
I don't
as if a
even,
tyrannosaurus,
like a sledgehammer has, like a
again,
tyrannosaurus.
when someone shuts the door,
I
what
would have
happens
never
in there?
imagined that you would ever say that as one of the horror stories. That like a piece of porcelain is missing from. Holy shit!
I should send you photos if I can find them.
Yeah, no. We'll
Send the photos to Sam. Don't send them to me.
Yeah, they'll go in.
So, you know, I understand why people start to turn to not allowing access to the bathroom. It makes sense.
Because it's more than providing a restroom. It's providing mental health services in some ways. It's providing like a landing place for somebody. And I feel like that is, again, not on just a small business.
I mean, it's something that matters to me. So I've been willing to, you know, bear that cross because I think it's
the
important.
willingness is the important.
But not everybody is, and I wouldn't fault anybody who wasn't.
When I think as we close out this conversation, it's, you know, for listeners there, we're looking at all of these different options in the playing field, right? And right now we've identified someone who really cares about the community. You're driven, you know, I think morally to like
as a person.
As a person. And you know, I'm excited. Our next interview is actually going to be with Jess about her Thrones program because, you know, Cortt, you've, in your understanding of all the different challenges it takes for cities to provide access to public restrooms, that's exactly what Jess is actually trying to unpack, is that
Yeah.
do you really need to situate them in these types of locations? Do they have to have, access to
person.
plumbing or a person? And like, how do you,
Do they have access to electricity?
and like, how do you get past a number of those challenges so that we can add more access? I think as we wrap up here, I just want to thank you for A, letting me use your restroom, B, being such a stellar, I'll say, pillar of the community who like genuinely cares about like people's well-being.
Yeah.
Because
It's admirable.
It's
It
admirable.
doesn't exist anymore for business in particular because of the willingness and the care for people. When you talk about Walgreens, it's an efficiency equation, right? Like, is it taking staff time? Is it a workplace hazard? Is it all of these things? And they're like, nope, 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 right? And like your willingness to see past those things on a human level is admirable, is unique. It doesn't exist in the way that it should, but I feel like using all that you've experienced as an approach to the solution could have gotten a reasonable bathroom in the plaza, for instance. And I think we need to, this is what all these conversations is about, is like starting with the people who really understand what the city needs and wants.
thanks, Cortt.
Thank you.
Work.
Appreciate it.
We'll be back at the cafe.
Yeah.
And
Gotta get you another coffee.
Yeah, we need to get me another coffee.
Thanks,
we
Jen.
did it!
Okay, so what did you think?
Wow. Like,
Yeah.
here's the thing. I love Cortt. I've known Cortt for over a decade.
Yeah.
And
But you were surprised.
I was surprised at the depth and of his sincerity to provide a public service to the community.
Yeah, like he finds it to be a part of his like core mission in life to make people feel dignified.
Yeah. And at the same time, I want to express that I think plenty of people would agree that this is not his responsibility and that it is quite admirable that he's taken it on anyway.
And you said it right, that this is fucked.
Yeah.
Like, this is fucked that he is providing this, and he's willing to, but the fact that we have a unique unicorn of a person who also just happens to be a business owner who is doing this, we can't rely on that.
No, our public policy can't be. I really hope that the cafe across from City Hall will be our de facto public
Provides
restroom.
hundreds of restroom stops every single day.
Every day. And I'm going to go up the other way so that we have a smooth ride.
Oh,
and I don't like
beautiful.
freeways. Like, ugh.
Ew.
Yeah. And frankly, I'll just tell you, city girl, like, Oakland is so pretty, just like on
It's
what is
beautiful.
the original key line
This
system.
is new art for me. I haven't
So this
seen
is the back of the square block building,
Yeah.
and they committed to the community to always put like different artwork on here, and then the billboards that are on here
Our
are
old
now.
office was, I think, over here
Oh really?
somewhere.
Oh
Yeah.
cool. You know, she's in constant movement.
She's
and
in
flow.
movement. Yeah, she's got range, and
She's got range.
I'm still wrapping my head around the fact that Cortt is providing this service as a part of his business, but effectively for free, whereas cities cannot figure out how to spend $1 million to provide the service that he's
Providing for free.
So the efficiency that could be like recruiting many of the courts to do this work, you could literally have 1,000 restrooms for the $1 million that you're
Correct.
spending.
So I'm gonna flesh out slightly one more thing, because I don't know if Cortt fully honed in on this.
Yeah.
You know, so downtown Oakland and uptown Oakland have a business improvement district, and that the group that provides the monitoring and like ambassadoring for BART, Bay Area Rapid Transit, is the same company that provides the ambassadors in uptown and downtown Oakland.
Yeah.
So therein lies
In
the irony,
San Francisco, there are some
Correct.
same providers and
Yeah.
things like that. And these are like people who are just what you're talking about, who are manning the stations.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it's funny that here we are asking ourselves, oh, how would we do this? And it's like the same group that is, I'm going to be blunt here, the same group that's power washing the poop off the sidewalks is also the same group
people,
that is monitoring the restrooms when they are contracted to do so. So it's not even like we've got to really figure out. Here's the thing. Like, if it's about money, which I don't think it's always about money.
It's not about money.
Yeah, it's like it's not really about money. It's like, you know, the difference between can't and won't. Like, you can't, are you not able to provide bathrooms, or is it that you won't provide bathrooms?
Yeah.
But the thing that I want to flag is that
Well, it's commitment to outcome, and I think we have a very hard time doing. Somebody just missed the bus.
And we all know that feeling where you're like,
sorry.
I'm right here.
I know.
But here's one solution that never seems to get any play. If there are thousands of bathrooms in downtown Oakland, but or in any downtown for that matter.
I'm itching to talk about a solution, so let's go.
Then one version is, let's say the city pays for ambassadors to provide like a service to monitor, and that then at least that responsibility no longer falls on Cortt's team or anybody's like everyday staff.
To MLK Civic Center Park. Okay. Just so everybody knows, this is the Throne app that I'm looking at, and we are heading to this location right here, and it shows you where the Throne is, so where a bathroom is, but also it will show you how many miles it is and the condition that it's in. So it says currently sparkling, which I would love.
Nice.
I would love a heads up, right? Of like what I'm to your point about the explosion.
Yeah, like how bad is it going to be?
Totally. But go on,
quick.
and I have like, just because I was looking at this app and putting together all that you're saying, like I have a idea.
Yeah. So that's one version.
Light bulbs are going out.
That we just like, instead of saying, relying on the goodwill of the courts of the world, that we say, well, hey, business owners, can we partner with you to use your restrooms with the understanding that when, not if, something bad happens, there is a service that there is staff that will take that on, right?
Yes.
That's like, hey, this is above and beyond like what we think we should be providing.
And just so the audience knows, I've worked with an organization like this. The one here locally, and I think they're in SoCal now, is Urban Alchemy. And they are a workforce development program, essentially, that supports formerly homeless, people who are in recovery, all people who are, recently incarcerated and looking for workforce development support. They are trained in de-escalation. So they are uniquely talented in de-escalation strategies for these really intense moments that nobody really, other than these fine folks, are really capable of handling.
Because they, in some regards, are the same folks who are trying to get out of some of those situations.
Totally,
and so they have that deeper understanding.
It's the empathy, it's the understanding, it's a person-to-person, human-to-human talent, truly, like a magical talent. And so they are, taking care of these stations, but also taking care of an eye on the street. And they know, right? If something's about to go down, they know exactly what to do in those situations. So having people like that who are not baristas,
right,
supporting what you're proposing here, which is basically like a support system for businesses who are providing this restroom. I will, because we're talking about Thrones and because we're talking about this app, I will also add that there's like the maintenance component of it that is not just people powered around de-escalation and helping people who are struggling right now. There's like the actual operational component of it that is lacking in efficiency, quite frankly gross, right? People don't want actually the people preparing your food to be cleaning the bathrooms at the same time.
Here's the other thing. And
from a sanitary standpoint.
The thing that Cortt didn't point out, but some of the research I did in advance of this, was the liability they're bringing on as well.
Yes.
That if you trip and fall, slip and fall, if you get stuck by a needle that wasn't cleaned up, right? Like any number of situations that seem extreme.
Like you're going down as a business.
Correct.
Yeah.
And that, your insurance may not cover those types of issues.
And that is where public service sometimes stops, because we cannot take on that liability. And so that's like an important and unsexy and unfortunate reality of any sort of like public facing thing.
The reason that we're pointing this out is because it's one thing to say, oh, I'd really like for the bathrooms to look a little bit better. It's another to also say, like, this shit is complicated and that cities,
any number of things can happen.
That's right. And that cities and their policymakers, and especially our city attorneys, are responsible for thinking about, unfortunately, all of the worst case scenarios that end up meaning that your bathroom is $1 million.
Yeah,
you know?
That there are layers onto it, and
layers of shit.
Layers of shit. glommed on.
Yeah.
So as we're arriving, and there's going to be I'm so excited about this. I started to talk about like that operational component of it. So we got into deep layers of humanity and the liability associated with being in a human society.
The perils of living in 3D.
But at a more tactical and simple level.
Yeah.
A big problem that I think businesses have, and just anybody providing a restroom, is figuring out the maintenance efficiency component of it, because there's a lot of time both wasted and missed in not being able to service something. And maintenance in public life is a humongous task of like really understanding where are people going. And I think we live in a world that is smart enough now where we can actually you would think if we're doing this the right way, and Jess will tell us exactly how they're doing this, how we can predict when maintenance is needed.
Oh, sure.
And being smart about when we use our workforce to actually service those things. And so just to add the layer to what you're proposing, right, which is like let's just say we have a public-private partnership where the city is providing to a certain degree staff support on a person-to-person and people management level. There should also be this like other component that creates an efficiency component to operations and allows then all of us to share that operational efficiency, right? So like
what's
one
the data
person,
collection around all of this,
the
right?
data
like
collection,
how
the
many people
usage,
at what time, and Cortt
what
knows
businesses are taking up the most. I mean, Cortt's data would be off the fucking charts. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so the resources going towards that, but also a shared operational efficiency, meaning, okay, we have let's just say Urban Alchemy or organization that's helping with that support. Then there's the maintenance staff who's like, instead of one person for every one bathroom, every 24 hours, it's one person for every 50 bathrooms, and they're going to the places that need the most efficiency. So we're gonna get off on data today when we talk to Jess. Oh, there it is.
There she is.
There she blows.
God damn.
Hold on, I'm going to see if I can get, it's attached to your seat. Okay, no, I'm not going to get it. Damn it.
Hey, you tried.
Okay. I did.
Hi, guys.
Hey, everybody. We've shifted to a different, never trust a hippie with a second location, but
never go to a second location with a hippie. Here we are.
Here we are, two hippies going to a second location.
That's true.
So for folks viewing and listening, welcome to the second part of our episode. We are now in downtown Berkeley with a great friend of ours named Jess, who first we want to talk about you as a person.
Yeah, I born and raised, or just raised, I guess, from 6 months in the Bay Area. Now live in Oakland. I started my career in grassroots organizing and political strategy. I specialized in tax elections. So all those parcel taxes, bond measures. And I think that really set this trajectory up for my life, that my professional career has been very winding, very different, but everything I've done has been about community and making people's lives better, whether we're talking about community on a global scale or a local scale. And I transitioned into international development, traveled the world, got excited and obsessed with technology and how we could be using technologies to make bigger impact in
Tech for good.
in people's lives. And then really wanted to come back to the Bay Area. And so found my way back and found Oakland I think I moved here about 8 years ago at this point. Live in West Oakland.
Beautiful.
Since we're talking about bathrooms, I'm curious, when is the last time you almost shit your pants or had to go pee so bad that you were about to pee your pants? And what did that feel like? Where were you? Why couldn't you go to the bathroom? Do you have any experiences like that?
Tell us about your most shameful moment.
Yeah.
Tell us about the time that you almost shit yourself.
Yeah. Well, I've been really lucky in life. I have like a very strong bladder and like a great GI system.
Yeah.
And this was a total fluke. I was in the marina with a friend in San Francisco, and we were in a high-end glasses shopping store.
Okay.
And all of a sudden, I just was like, oh, man, I am going to have to poo. And I kind of like started clenching my
butt cheeks and like dancing around a little bit. And then I was like, this is not going to go well. Like I didn't know where I was going to go. Like we weren't even in a cafe. And my friend was still like trying on glasses. And then I started sweating and I was like, this doesn't like bode well. And then I just was like, hey, can I use your restroom? And they were like, sure. And I went in there and I like blew it up. And I was just like, oh, this, but it was like the first time I had had a real near miss. And it actually made me appreciate what a lot of people go through every day.
And when you say a lot of people, do you mean like people with like IBS?
I don't have IBS.
We'll talk about that later.
God damn.
We may be coming out as Warren having IBS after this because there is
roll
so
out of
much.
frame and die a little. I have a very shy bladder.
He's shy.
And it's very difficult for me to feel comfortable going to the bathroom in any way.
We got to talk about the Shy Peers Club.
Yeah.
There's a Shy Peers Club. Just tell us.
No, there is. Yeah, it's a thing. It's called periuresis.
Yep.
And it's an actual diagnosed condition. I think it's periuresis. But interestingly, like it's not a list I could give you. Like there's so many different types of medical conditions or issues that people struggle with. And it's like the biggest problem that's not talked about.
Yeah.
I think, I got curious about, restroom access issues at some point and just started asking my friends. I had no idea how many of them had struggled with, bladder control after pregnancy or other things that like I didn't A, know existed and or B, definitely didn't know that some of my closest community was experiencing. So we just don't talk about it. It's shameful and it's something we should. Everybody poops. There's a book about it.
I didn't read that book.
We've talked about this book a couple of times now, but because we're going down a little bit of a therapy session, Jess,
it's been
you seem very confident in talking about your bowel movements and the
other
activities thereof.
Yeah.
What do you think it is about American society that has shame around using the restroom when it is such a function that's the same as eating and breathing and living? Like, why do you think that is? And like, have you tried to diagnose that in your search for the public restroom solutions?
No. I haven't. I just take it as a given that, and I'm not sure that it's just an American issue. Like, I think generally, like that globally, people are not talking about
the thing we're all doing every day, or at least hopefully doing it every day.
Yeah. But and I also think like it's reinforced at every level. Like you see movies and sitcoms about people like leaving their boyfriend's house to go take a shit, right? So it's like, it's just become part of culture, and I'm not sure that parents really go out of their way in the same way that they do to, demystify gender or something like that to say like, oh, actually, no, let's talk about your bowel movement.
We too.
Yeah. So we never have a drum roll for this, which is sort of frustrating because there's always like a moment we need this.
You could add it in post.
Yeah. Which we never do. There's a thing. Thank you, Sam, for the drum roll. Just tell us how you are tackling this challenge that we've been talking about all day, which is access to dignified restrooms in urban settings.
Yeah. So I co-founded a company called Throne, and we've designed both a product and a service, a standalone, self-contained, smart restroom that can be put down anywhere, but then also the service to back that up and using kind of technology, sensors, and real-time user feedback to make sure that they stay sparkling clean and really help cities define the need and the demand for restrooms. So that is how I'm doing it.
That's why you're so into toilets.
That is why I am so into toilets. And, to your previous question of have I ever had those moments? And I think when I met my co-founder, Fletcher, who likes to say his GI system is his worst system, that's when I had to go around and ask my friends, like, is this a problem? And I also realized how much privilege I had. Like, I look like I'm going to buy a latte.
Yeah.
Oh,
totally.
Today we were at a cafe and, the lovely barista was like, oh, do you want whole milk? Sam and I were at this cafe this morning and I ordered a dirty chai. And the barista was like, oh, do you want whole milk? And I'm like, Saboteur. No, I don't want whole milk.
Dare you?
Yeah, I'm like, no, I've got places to be and the bathroom isn't one of those.
Oh, I get whole milk.
As do I, but we're showing off because
the privilege of ordering whole milk and thinking nothing of it. Congratulations to the both of you.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I also
I'm like angry about this right now.
well, I think also all of us can buy a latte, right? And so like the US in particular, like the public bathroom has like the de facto public bathroom is the cafe or is the Starbucks. Starbucks actually closed all their bathrooms to non-customers back in it's going to shock you, but late January. Not that they should be expected to provide the public restroom, right?
Yeah.
But I think it goes to show what a burden it is. And it isn't necessarily of all companies. Like Starbucks would do the math. Are bathrooms bringing in customers that are then purchasing, or are they actually a net negative for businesses? So I think, what we've found in our throne journey is, we're really dynamically serving everyone. We're serving the unhoused. We're serving parents with small children. We're serving gender nonconforming people who want a single stall. We're serving small businesses who want to be able to not deny someone access, but actually help them find a facility that's not theirs.
I kind of want to slow down on that piece of it, that like you've designed the restroom for everybody, because I do think when we talk about public restroom debates and how we're funding it from the public side, we are thinking about it as a service primarily for the unhoused or people who don't have access to restrooms. And so what was the thinking for you? Was it a business calculation around like, we actually need it to be for everybody? Or was it a sort of more mission-driven, or maybe it was both, right? Like a mission-driven orientation that said, we just need access overall. And if we create a product for one group of people, we're leaving out a whole nother group of people.
Yeah, I think it was mission-driven. And then it was also strategic. When Fletcher became obsessed with, why aren't there more publicly available clean restrooms, he started talking to everyone, Uber drivers, delivery drivers, all the people that don't have an office bathroom, but like work from their cars, and just realized what a big challenge it was for that group as well. When you look at it, we have bifurcated the bathroom ecosystem. We have programs for unhoused restrooms, pit stops in San Francisco or others like that. And then we have kind of the affluent parks that don't struggle with it, or we have,
the shopping malls.
The shopping malls.
Yeah.
Or I think in
need it, but
yeah, in New York, I think the hot thing is join Equinox. And anywhere you are in Manhattan, you can just go into the gym and use the restroom.
You have restroom access.
And I think a lot of people will understand this, that it's funny, we're not very far from the YMCA, but the YMCA has also historically been known as like not a bathroom of last resort, but damn near, because the membership is so cheap that month over month, if that is your access to bathroom and shower, the math for a very low income or even unsheltered person, like it maths.
Yeah.
One thing I want to kind of bring to our listeners' attention as well is that usually when we talk about providing this type of service and this amount of access, unprecedented as it might be, that you end up at the lowest common denominator and lowest quality.
Yeah.
That when you're providing a bathroom for everybody, and I mean everybody, it means that for a lot of folks, they don't want to use that restroom because it is such poor quality, so under-maintained, that only the lowest, in any which way you want to couch that, will use it.
Yeah.
And that everyone else will go swim upwards, if you will, to like the nicer restrooms that they have privilege and access to.
Yeah, and that then comes into play in budgeting. And so I think when you think about providing sustainable infrastructure, you need it to be something, then this is where the strategy comes in. You need it to be something that everyone wants to use, not is willing to use, not will use if they're about to shit their pants.
Yeah. It is no longer the emergency, like, oh my God, I guess I have to. It's like, I mean, depending on the order in which we do this, you all will see that like this bathroom is nicer than my bathroom.
Yeah, that's better than my bathroom at the end of the day.
Probably clean more frequently.
But this is the part that I think is so critical when we put on like a design lens, right? Is that we are no longer designing for the lowest common denominator and the least of quality. It's like, for everybody. It's like, what if we provided a luxury product that is so well maintained that I think if I hear you correctly, the mathematics end up supporting that faster than the, lowest quality bathroom of last resort that only the least of us are willing to use.
I also think it's like it checks off multiple boxes, right? Because when we started talking about public restrooms with Cortt, it was like it's actually quite
a lot deeper than that, right? Like it speaks to the housing and affordability issue. It speaks to economic development challenges and all of these things. But once you have public restroom access, some of those issues start to dissipate in a way, right? Like if you have a corridor that's like not doing very well from a business standpoint and you have amenities and beautiful, dignified design for everybody, you can start to see why the economic picture on that corridor would change with like a throne or something like that. So it's not just solving a problem for people needing to pee and poo. It's solving an economic problem. Like, would you say that that's been a different way that like you've approached cities or that cities have like looked at thrones?
Yeah, absolutely. And we did some research in Washington, D.C. with businesses. We did a survey with 33 businesses, half that had thrones near them and half that didn't. Wow. And 97% said that they would support more restrooms and that it was a real pain point.
Share that in terms of cost, because we did start to talk about cost, like who pays for it and how does everybody contribute to the pie?
In that case, it's the District of Columbia that's paying. Okay. We do have a couple of business improvement districts that chip in as well. You know, the best placements for restrooms, I think, are places where it can actually serve a cross-section of people and a cross-sections of use cases. Like we're at Civic Center Park in Berkeley today, not only because it's the closest throne to Warren and my houses, but also it's like really dynamic. We're in the center of this beautiful lawn that about 45 minutes ago was filled with the high school students who just came across the street to eat lunch. There's also an unhoused service center over there. On Saturdays, there's also a farmer's market on this street over here. And it's a really serving kind of public activation of space or activation of public space, as well as kind of like the daily life of students,
of cities,
people. Of
Can I staying on this for a second? You've kind of alluded to the different places and partnerships that you've accomplished during your reign on the throne. I don't know. We'll work with that pun on a pun. Can you just kind of give us the laundry list of like who you're working with so that folks can really see the variation of all the different ways that you've met the need?
Yeah, so primarily we're working with public sector. Cool. I would say that fall into kind of a couple of buckets. Transit, we both are public thrones for riders. So, you know, especially in LA where we work with LA Metro, people are on the train for an hour and a half, which statistically is about the time it takes you to have to pee again. Yeah, and they confirm. Yeah, and they were hearing that a third of their riders were like saying, I would take transit more if I knew that there was a reliable bathroom. Wow. At the end. Yeah, and then.
That is, wow.
Yeah. And
especially as we're talking about like getting people back on transit and getting people back to downtown, maybe providing a bathroom would be the investment.
Right. Yeah, totally. And then obviously cities, and I think there are a couple use cases there. It's everything from the parks, both recreational sports fields. We have heard a lot of parents say they miss half their kids' game because their younger sister or brother has to go to the bathroom and they have to take them home or walk 10 minutes. Yeah. And then also kind of that downtown revitalization, trying to provide a place that allows people to stay longer without burdening small businesses.
Because if you're looking at the time horizon, it's if I want to go, I'm thinking of like my experience as a teenager going to the mall, right? Yeah. Like, all right, if I'm going to the movie theater, if I'm going to eat a snack or a sandwich with friends, then we're going to grab a drink, then we're going to hang out and shop around a little bit. Somewhere in there, I at least need to go to the bathroom once.
Yeah.
And if everybody in that chain, if every commercial space in that chain is like, we don't public bathrooms, then I'm not going to do all those things. I have to go home.
Cut it short.
Right. Or the secret sauce is like, okay, are we near my office so I can swipe it? I mean, like truly, this is the calculus that I have made. And I think a lot of people in downtowns are like, okay, where am I going to the bathroom?
Yeah. And there's research to show that about, I think it's around 40 to 50% of parents with baby in arms and older people or people with mobility issues refrain from eating and drinking while they're outside because they don't want to have to use a restroom. And that's a health concern.
That's
a huge concern.
Spend more time out there.
Yeah. No. And then we also hear there's a local elected official on a neighborhood council in D.C. that loves to go to DuPont Circle and hang out with friends. And before we had a throne in DuPont Circle, when he was having a flare up of his IBS, like wouldn't go. And we already have a loneliness. And I think that's one of the things that's so dynamic about restrooms is it's also addressing the loneliness epidemic that we have in this country. It's allowing people to come together in parks like we're doing right now. Yeah. If you have to go, it's available.
Yep.
I want to get to some of the challenges, right? Because when we talk to Cortt, and you and I have talked that cities have these really core challenges around public restroom access. And sometimes that is the reason why an effort is halted, right? Because it's too hard. And what do those things mean? Some people found a solution around like pit stops where there's like man stations and there's literally somebody there for every single flush, right? But like some of the challenges that cities are facing, I'm curious how Throne sees it and what the solutions are around people automatically think about loitering. People automatically think about nefarious activities. People think about vandalism. And those are things that cities are liable for, right? To a certain extent. So how have you guys thought about that in terms of solutions? Like, how did you start to design that stuff in?
And before you answer that, I'm going to add a little bit more to the pie. So here are the social issues and even some legal issues, or liability, I should say, that cities and public agencies by extension are trying to address or mitigate when it comes to public restrooms. Then there's the logistical, operational design aspects. Is there access to water here? Is there a sewer we can plumb into? Is it in a building? I want to layer that on as well, because I know from
all part of it.
Yeah, it's all a part of it.
Yeah.
So how have you solved all these problems?
Thanks.
Yeah. No big deal.
Yeah, no big deal. It took us only 5 years. Yeah, I mean, I think like technology opens up new opportunities. So we really started out by saying, why aren't there more public restrooms and why aren't they open and clean when they do exist? Yeah. And so, the first blocker that you hit is really the cost, and it's that cost of connecting to water and sewer usually. You hear like it's a little $7 million restroom in San Francisco, which is like a little over the top. But realistically, like $1 million is not unheard of to build a restroom. Yeah. And that's mainly driven by the cost of connecting to water and sewer. And when you get into a park and you want to run the water and sewer 300 meters, then
to create new pipe.
Yeah, it gets even more expensive.
Putting the restroom in the center of the park means you are hundreds of feet, perhaps. Yeah, if it's in the center of this park, you are at least 100 feet from a plumb in the middle of any one of these surrounding streets.
Yeah. So first of all, we made it self-contained. Yeah. It doesn't need to connect to water, sewer, or power if it's not snowing. It does need to be, or if it's over an overpass, or overhang, we have it's powered by solar. And then I think the other big piece is like managing publicly accessible private space is hard.
Woo!
And
wait, say that again.
Managing publicly accessible private space is hard.
That's surprising. I'm stunned.
I'll show you. So a typical clean, you'll hit begin clean and the door will open and the sign will change to cleaning to let anyone know who's walking by, whether we have the door open or closed.
Great.
They'll know that the cleaning is in process.
Okay, lead the way.
Also, when you start a clean, we have a cabinet here with all of our cleaning supplies secretly.
That's so nice, neatly hidden here.
Getting some design ideas for my house.
You say one clean takes. I mean, obviously a modest clean, not like a explosion.
Yeah, if there are no major issues, 10 to 15 minutes.
Okay, that's pretty efficient.
Especially, once you get the hang of it, once you've been around a while.
You're a professional.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is awesome.
This is beautiful in here.
This is Warren's first time seeing a drone. And does it not smell great in
It
here?
smells really good in here. I know that sounds ridiculous, but it's clean.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah, and we there's no standard amount of times that we clean per day. It's based on usage.
Yeah.
And we have algorithms that figure that out. But it ends up being every couple hours, every day it's clean. So.
And when is the last time this location got cleaned?
Earlier this morning, probably just a couple hours. So we usually start letting the toilet soak a little bit. We have glass cleaners specifically for the mirror.
Can you tell me about this mirror? Like, how does it not get keyed? Like, do you guys replace the mirror, or?
So part of the magic of it is there are multiple film layers on top of the mirror.
I see that.
Basically like a phone screen case.
Yeah.
That if there's any unnecessary graffiti, things that we can't get off with graffiti remover, which we do have, or if there's big gouges, you can just peel it back and it's good as new.
Awesome. So it's a peel-off mirror situation. Adding, yeah.
Yeah, that is one of the more.
Yeah, for when my son turns into a teenager and decides to go
Yes.
aggro all over the...
Cannot express just clearly enough. It smells really good in here.
Yeah, we try to
And
keep
it's
it.
big. Like, I don't feel like, oh shit, I gotta like contort myself to get in here. It's like,
Exactly.
my bathroom is smaller than this. Climate
We'll go
controls.
through a proper tour outside of the cleaning as well, but there are these vents here and there is music, like literal hotel music that plays. And you're just peeing and you're like, oh, that's nice.
So,
Hi.
I'm homeless. I went to the Berkeley City Council meeting to try to find out how can a homeless person use this. And they told me that Dorothy Day had like cards or something, so I asked the mayor, but they don't have cards. So how can a homeless person use this?
Dorothy Day should. You can also go to the City Hall front desk.
Oh, and I can get a card?
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Have a great day.
Tell the mayor that I...
Yeah, it's like, you did it. Yeah, awesome. Thanks, man.
Happy Friday.
Yeah, happy Friday to you.
No, I've never seen inside of there, but like I had to use the bathroom.
They're cute, right?
One time, and I was like, how free bathroom? How does a homeless person use it?
Yeah.
It's Berkeley City Council meeting. Madam Mayor. So now I know.
Okay.
That's amazing.
The sign here is, we're trying to get people to go back there, but then there's a card, and when the doors close, you just see this, like, it says tap here.
Thank you so much.
Oh my god.
Thank you.
Yeah, have a great day.
Friday.
Perfect. Just in case we missed that, can you repeat? I'll ask you again. If someone is unsheltered or transitional housing, you name it, how would they access your throne here in Berkeley?
Yeah, so anybody that has a phone can do it, whether it's a smartphone or a regular phone. A lot of unhoused people have phones, and we designed it specifically to also work with flip phones, because a lot of people that have the Lifeline program are oftentimes called the like Obama phone.
I learned that recently. Go on.
They can access it, but then we also have like on the side kind of where cards can be gotten. They're like a tap card that uses NFC technology, and basically it just opens the door.
What a situation. And are you done? Was that?
With
That
the
was
basic,
fast.
almost done with the basic cleaning.
There's more to show.
I'll mention that there are, with this unit specifically, we have a pretty large amount of unhoused folks who
Sure.
make use of it.
Sure.
And City Hall being like right here
Right.
makes it very convenient.
And there are
it's been a
like
huge-
homeless services in the area and things like that. So that makes a lot of
all kinds of
sense.
supportive services, and this unit gets a lot of use from that. And it's
Yeah.
been I mean, we've got a lot of comments from the folks, living in encampments or what have you around here, and it's been
Just appreciating it and
from having nothing or a chain locked porta potty
Yeah.
to an actual bathroom with running
like
water.
a dignified space. Totally.
There's folks that could even come in here and like shave sometimes just to like
Yeah,
have that.
well, these
I'm
have to
having-
change and like look ready for an interview, basically.
I'm having a moment that like I'm gonna keep having clearly, which is, we've talked about the word dignity a lot. This is even, like dignity to me is like a baseline. This is luxury. Like,
Yeah.
if a hotel bathroom looked like this, it'd be like, what a nice hotel.
Right.
It smells amazing in here, and the fact that you're saying, oh, this place gets a lot of use, it looks brand new, like
Yeah.
ready to cut a ribbon, brand new.
Yeah, like the
And like,
ceilings.
it's
Bright white.
spotless in here. And if
Speaker.
I live in a home, but I can only imagine if I've had the shittiest fucking day every day, but that there's this piece of solace in downtown Berkeley that's like, at least I can go to the bathroom, wash my face, and put myself back together before entering the world again. Like this is that space, and it's sorry, I'm just kind of like,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
We just to give you some
it's
context.
kind of shocking. Yeah.
We just interviewed a guy who owns a cafe in downtown Oakland, and great guy, and he's like, we provide as clean a bathrooms as we can, and we were like, how do we take this off only your shoulders?
Yeah.
And I am floored. Also, I love this wallpaper. Like, it's cute wallpaper.
Do you want to say something about the wallpaper? Because there's something kind of cool about it.
There's another potential for if any kind of graffiti gets
Yes,
on the
that's
walls.
what I'm alluding to. Yeah.
One of the luxuries of this busy jungle-ish pattern is that we have leaf print cutouts of the same pattern that you can simply slap over top.
Like, I knew you were going to lose your mind over that. I knew you were going to lose
It's really good.
So,
Oh my god, dude! Like, talk about like you've thought of everything.
yes, So my last question, how do you know specifically when to come back? Is it an hourly schedule or is it based on the app and the data? What is that?
It's all based on the data and an algorithm. So
Okay.
They base where the various cleaners go on both the number of uses a unit has had since the last clean.
Number of uses, got it. Okay.
That, also user ratings. Every time someone, standard user has it, they rate between 1 and 5 stars. They can also leave a comment.
Yeah.
So we'll know, like, oh, we need to get over there ASAP because it's out of toilet paper, or there was some large issue.
And does that mean you're kind of like, surveying and rolling around the city and you're going to the whatever site the app and the algorithm says that you should be going to next?
Yeah. So I cover pretty much the entire East Bay,
Wow.
all the way from sort of North Richmond
Okay.
down to South Hayward.
Cool.
And yeah, we'll be bouncing up and
amazing.
down all around, just making sure every throne is as clean as it can be.
I just could cry. It's just like so incredible what is happening here. Okay. Thank you, Ryan.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. This was so illuminating, and there's a lot more to get to. Yeah, Warren
Yes,
was
please.
shocked. That was his first time seeing.
Warren almost made me cry.
Oh, thank you, Ryan. Great to meet you.
Ryan.
Okay,
I'm about to cry. Like, what?
he's just in shock still.
I don't understand. Jess,
Sam has the benefit of seeing one.
I see it all the time.
I guess my
Yeah.
point is I have the privilege of having a bathroom at home, right? And I have enough of an imagination to know how challenging it is to find a clean place to go to the bathroom and feel like if I can have one goddamn thing in this world, can I just have a moment of peace for just a second, right? 10 minutes, right? And I'll let you on something that Cortt had mentioned. It was like, going to the bathroom is not just like because I need to go to use the facilities. It might also be someone's 5 minutes to like catch their breath from the day and just look at themselves in the mirror with a little bit of quiet around them and a door that locks behind them. And I will say candidly, as someone who experiences lots of mental health issues over the course of my life, I know what that feeling I know what it's like to need that on a daily, hourly basis at times. And I can only imagine how challenging it is to go through life not having access to those spaces that provide you with like just a sense of quiet for a moment.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Like, I'm serious though, man. Like, I know how important this is.
Yeah, it really is. I think when you guys were arriving and we were charging up the camera, somebody was in here for like 8 minutes, and I was kind of nervous. I was like, oh my God, what are we gonna find when we open the door? And Sam went in, and like, it was perfect.
Spotless. Yeah, it's like,
and
it's just a
he had
spotless
changed
space.
clothes. But yeah, I think it's really important, and we see a lot of kind of the longer uses at certain thrones, oftentimes where there are larger populations of unhoused people.
Yeah.
And I think that's okay, and it might just mean we need more thrones there.
Right.
But
God forbid we provide a service that people need.
yeah, and the place I always comes to mind is in LA at Westlake MacArthur Park Station.
Yeah.
And I'll go down there in plain clothes, not wearing my throne gear, and I'll just ask the unhoused, like, what is this? Tell me about it. And they're always so generous, and they're like, this is the best thing, and they tell me how to use it. They warn me about the 10-minute limit. And then I say, well, is that enough? And they're like, yeah, most of the time it is, Usually it's like, unless I'm in there like really getting ready for the day. I think we've built something. I'm just proud.
You've built something that is game changing. Hey, Jess.
Hey. Hi, Jess.
Fancy meeting you here.
Fancy meeting you on this Oakland rooftop on a beautiful day in the fall.
So we did a set change because Jess invited us over, and so we want to thank her for hosting us. We have our requisite glass of wine, so cheers, everybody.
Cheers. We're continuing the conversation where we left off. Obviously, we're in awe of the product. Warren basically cried on the toilet, which won't.
Warren did not cry. First of all, let's hold up. I didn't cry on the toilet.
cried about the
cried about the toilet on the toilet. But I think we've covered a lot of ground today on like the problems we're trying to solve for, and like how Throne and others are looking for solutions to fill a need. And I want to dive into a bit of the design of the structure itself and how you feel it's meeting that and many needs on top of that.
Yeah, and I think the structure is actually the easiest piece, right? That's borrowing from old technology of just tanks, plumbing. We've built something that's self-contained and can be set up and serving the community within hours. But that's not really super new.
It's like the porta potty effect, where it's like you have the aspects, but then
technically we don't like to tell people this, but technically we're a porta potty.
Yeah.
The nice thing about that is we're permitted like a porta potty. So you can put us down anywhere that you control the land. So it's really quick and easy. It just feels really nice inside. So I think our big innovation there was making it feel nice. I think we've also kept it super modular, so everything can be fixed on site. There's some bathroom companies that just try to make it indestructible, but then it's not welcoming. And then people treat it like it's a prison cell.
we just talked about that. The fact that, like, why do they look like prison cells? And what does that say about the space that you're in and in a space like that?
And so we decided to opt the other way, which is using behavioral science and technology.
Yeah.
And I think some things are so simple. Like the wallpaper inside, you probably noticed, has this like fun leafy pattern. It feels like a jungle. It's inspired by this cool bathroom in Japan.
And not the Golden Girls, because that was what I got.
If I don't have an all over print hoodie in that
Right.
tea, I won't be living.
I you the print.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
That's a great idea. Some swag with that print.
It's so great.
Oh, I love it.
Ideas are formed.
But really when we worked with these behavioral scientists, they were just like, one, you want to deter people writing on it. And so by having heavy patterns and different colors, it's actually hard to see if you were to pull
Wait,
something.
can I pause you for a second?
Yeah.
You spoke with a behavioral scientist.
Thank you.
About the design. Is that...
Yeah, they were like architectural behavioral scientists.
We have to stop at this, because when we talk about public spaces and behavioral science, that is just underappreciated in the design process and not even considered. It's actually like, how indestructible could it be? And there's no behavioral component to it besides anti-vandalism.
Actually, if you looked at it, it would be like, well, by creating something that's inhospitable, you're asking people to
be inhospitable. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that is something, I'm sure this is a theme we're going to see throughout a lot of our episodes. It's like, you've created a space that encourages hostility. And what would it look like? And I think Throne has really accomplished this. If you provide people with dignity and respect, in turn, they can do the same for the space itself.
Yeah. And I had mentioned Fletcher, my co-founder's obsession with like asking rideshare drivers where they go to the bathroom. And his big aha moment came with a rideshare driver who like pulled over and opened his glove compartment box and a tie came out. And he said that he puts the tie on so that he can walk into hotels when he drops someone off there. So like part of the vision was like, everyone deserves a hotel lobby bathroom.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of what we went after, is like, we want the bathroom that, feels good and you feel happy about walking into. And that leaf pattern is really interesting because it's both feeling high end, but it's also deterring writing on it. It's
action in it too.
But you enter a place that's dirty or gross, and you take worse care of it. You're more likely to leave it worse than you found it.
Also say the design itself, it like is joyful, like it's joyful and it's abundant and it's about life in there, as opposed to the complete opposite of what we see of these metal concrete spaces,
Well, I would add, at least from my own experience, it is approachable design as well, that it is high end in a way, but it is not exclusive feeling.
It's not unattainable.
It feels like I belong here and others belong here. Whereas you could easily go in a different direction that is equally nice and extravagant, but is going to set a lot of people off and saying, I don't think this is for me.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about that a lot in the beginning. Like, Throne is a great name and it's such a playful name, but we were very intentional about not leaning into royalty. Like, this is the toilet, this is the John, this is every man's throne, not some purple and gold high-end royal flush.
Totally. What are some of the other behavioral science design aspects of it that surprised you, or that maybe listeners don't really recognize as like, this is actually changing behavior in a positive way?
Yeah, I think the entry mechanism and the accountability that we've built in, you could enter one of three ways: with a text message, with our app, or with the tap card. The phone entry is really powerful in multiple ways. One, it allows us to connect directly with the user and ask them their feedback. About a third of users, or I should say a third of uses, give us a cleanliness rating. And then some of those go on to, in sometimes hilarious detail, tell us what's happening inside. So we've turned every user into our eyes.
But one thing I'll reflect on very briefly is there is almost no latency between my sending a text message to say, I'm here, open, and it opening. And that was, we've all download the app and then do the thing and put in the, scan your face. And this was, right? We all know that. Start the account. What's the email?
All of your identity. What is your social?
What's your social? What's your mother's maiden name and your address and. Here's my kidney. And I was stunned to see that, I scanned the QR code. It opened up the text and it said, send this, effectively. I hit send, and 1, 2.
Yeah.
And it was like, well, that was seamless and approachable. And that is starting off real nice.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You come in and the sounds are lovely.
Do, 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 just in the background. And I'm like, oh, me? Excuse me? And to Jess's point about extending the team of information, people who provide information about the throne, when you get in, you didn't get to see this, but when you go in and you use your phone, automatically there's this system where it's like, how does it look in there? And you put a little
cleanliness rating, and we also ask smell rating.
It smelled so good. And I mentioned this to Sam when we left the throne. And I think that this is a really subtle thing that everybody's going to know. When you go into a porta potty, God forbid, we all know that smell. And you're kind of bracing for it every time. That if I just hold my breath long enough, maybe I can. Yeah. Well, I don't know about that even. I'm just not going to breathe. Every episode has to have a dog, clearly.
Shit.
There goes the wine.
Go on inside. Bye.
Bye, bud. But when I think about our other senses, right, smell is a big one. And it's not just enough to say the throne smells good, but I think because it also doesn't smell chemically either. And it's an altogether different experience to immediately walk in, spa music is playing. Truly, I was like, wow, well, this is so nice for me. And to then also be greeted with a nice smell. It's doing a lot of things all at once in a very successful way.
Well, and back to what we were saying about having the entire community use it, that impacts people in different ways.
Totally.
That makes you willing to use a public restroom.
Yeah.
That makes an unhoused person want to be their best person, and it inspires them to be like, this is actually a really nice amenity and I want to take care of it. And we see, like I was saying in downtown LA, them helping each other, but also a little bit community policing. Hey, this is
Except for a good thing.
Don't mess it up. This is great. Yeah. And so I think that's part of it. And the flip side of this, the kind of phone access, and we do it with the cards too. Each card has a unique user ID. And part of the reason we make it so easy is, we don't want to collect information. One of our company values is don't be creepy. Don't be creepy. Right. We're a bathroom company.
And I'll ask you, let's dive into that for a second. So I think that for folks kind of listening to this tech forward approach to bathrooms, there are several worst case scenarios we can all think about, which is data collection and privacy is what are you doing with my data? Are you going to spam me with information?
Watching me in the bathroom, which is the worst fear of a
no
shy
cameras.
peer.
Right. So if you don't mind, can we go through the that policy of don't be creepy?
Yeah. So what's happening when you're entering is you now have a quote account or a user ID that is masked in our backend. So
it is associated with your phone.
Associated with your phone. If you have, gotten a tap card, you have an ID associated with that card. With the phone, we actually are able, just entering with a phone, knowing that you're on record, I think has a mental shift where it's okay, they probably know that it's me that entered, or at least they know it's this phone number.
Yeah.
And so
It's not so anonymous.
kind of like when someone's in line behind you at Starbucks, you're more likely to double check that you didn't trinkle
That's
on
totally
the seat.
true. Or you put the seat down.
Maybe.
Okay, so first of all, and I'm going to, without speaking for all men, I learned you put the seat up so that you don't tinkle on the seat. And I have been told by plenty of my...
And then you put it down again.
You put it down again. He left.
Yeah, it's a 2-part process. It's also why we have a urinal in the throne.
Right. So this is the next thing I was going to say is you've done yourself a really great service by having a urinal.
Touch it in order if you don't use your foot
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah. I think having a female founder actually has influenced our design a lot too. We actually talk about people who sit. Yeah.
Or hover.
So I think the other thing that's really powerful is we have 21 sensors on the unit. So we're using technology in that way. It's all connected to the internet, sending data to a team that is remote, monitoring data on the units and customer and user reviews 24/7.
Porta potties have a total of 0, right? Sensor
And no review process.
no review, absolutely no review. And then like a publicly accessible restroom has maybe like a sign-in sheet for somebody who, like a manual sign-in sheet for somebody who maybe cleaned it 2 months ago.
Right.
So we're in the opposite zone of what you're talking about here.
Right. So we have those sensors that tell us, what's the freshwater level, the wastewater level, what's the temperature, is the door propped open, how long has someone been in there, is there smoke? And I think this is one of the things where if someone's in there smoking, we're actually seeing that, we're getting an alert and we're sending a text message warning saying there was smoke associated with your use. If this happens again, you risk losing access. Yeah. Same with people that are overstaying the 10-minute limit significantly.
Okay, I have another question. I'm going to open up a little bit.
Here we go.
When you say 10 minutes, is there any way to if you need a little bit more time?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. That's all.
No, I'm saying, I understand what you're saying.
Like, some of us sometimes it takes a minute, okay? What happens?
Well, the average.
No, okay.
For 10 minutes.
That's not causal though. Like, it's some of us, it takes a minute to
settle.
And goddamn.
Yeah. So, but there are people that have, like issues or, mobility issues that have longer time needs. We're working on it. So we are working on a process and probably partnering with accessibility groups and disability advocates and travel guides for people with mobility issues to figure out how we can extend that access for people that truly need it without Throne having to be the arbiter of that. Like, we don't want to be saying you're worthy and you're not. So we're looking to partnership for that. And we do give more than 10 minutes. It's
10 minutes. Seconds.
10 minutes and 20 seconds. Then it's why we tell people up front. Because if you are having a bad day or you're like, this is going to be a long one, you may choose not to use a Throne, and that's fine. Yeah. And I think it's that informed consent that's important while still working towards a solution for those that don't really have another option.
Talked about the challenges earlier, and data is now starting to play into how you address some of those issues. So like the 10-minute warning and then, opening after 10 minutes, like what does that solve for cities that you've experienced that have been the major problem with supporting public restroom access?
I think we just finished a pilot with the city of Long Beach, and one of their challenges is that their single-stall restrooms get turned into homes. People just camp out.
A safe shelter from the outside.
It's not necessarily Throne's responsibility or even the bathroom's responsibility to also be a home, because then it means that it's not serving its core function of being a bathroom.
And I think, what you were talking about earlier is sometimes just wanting some space to yourself. And there is a Warren out there who's also unhoused. And I think they will stay in there a long time.
Yeah. To have their peace.
Yeah. Yeah. And we want them to have their peace, and it's a shared resource.
Yeah.
And
it's a finite resource.
Yeah. And what we find is in Long Beach, 100% of people were gone within 15 minutes of starting a use during the 4-month pilot period.
100%.
100%. At Westlake MacArthur Park, which is notably one of our toughest locations, right across from a huge homeless encampment where the city of LA pays to pick up and drop off porta potties every morning and every night, or they get slept in, lit on fire, tipped over, etc. We see 86% of people are gone by 12 minutes and 95% of people are gone by 15 minutes. And then at that point, our monitors actually call the roving security on site. And I think the places that we are seeing that people will exceed that limit and not leave are also the places where there's typically roaming security, but it changes the financials dramatically.
Yeah. Do you see this as a solution that cities should employ to provide access for bathrooms to unsheltered residents? And more precisely, should cities, or how can cities best utilize thrones adjacent to encampments?
Is it even providing a sustaining level of service for the people who need it the most?
I mean, I would say it's like a location by location call. Like, would I put this in a small, unattended, kind of off the beaten track encampment? No, I would not. I think one of the biggest misconceptions is that restrooms are going to attract loitering and they're going to attract nefarious business. I think that is not true 100% of the time if you are locating them correctly. And that's in locations where there's good visibility, there's heavy like foot and vehicle traffic, like there are people around, it's visible. Yes. Yeah. If you hide them away and put them in the outskirts of town, oftentimes where the encampments are, I think you will run into more challenges. Like it is not a silver bullet. We're not claiming to be that. But I do think that like by having more restrooms across a city, you end up not kind of ghettoizing it as much either.
That's a very good way to put it. And I'll provide maybe one more example of this because I agree with you that I'm thinking about like the safe RV sites that plenty of cities have started creating. If I hear you correctly, there's kind of this middle ground where maybe thrones could provide support in those types of contexts too.
Yeah, and I think it's really a case by case. We've built it to, I mean, we have thrones that are serving Beverly Hills and the community's loving it.
Which Beverly Hills never loves anything.
Right. And we have it across from a homeless encampment that's at a transit
And
center.
they're not different builds. They're the same.
I think the other thing that I'm super proud about and I want to just make sure we talk about is like the cleaning algorithm. I think this is the other piece that I get really excited about is how we're using data. So part of the reason when you enter, like we're collecting not a lot of information, basically like somebody entered.
Yeah. Someone is in.
But we have an algorithm in the back end. We have a team that includes operations specialists or cleaners who are trained on a little bit of plumbing, a little bit of technical troubleshooting. They have a growth path to technician if they're so inclined, but they are given zones. So they're playing kind of zone defense on keeping thrones clean and sparkling. And every time they finish, we're logging each clean, how long they were in there, which one they hit. They actually say, okay, done with this clean. And the algorithm's in the back end saying, which is the next throne they should go to.
Right. Saying
to keep it at network at the cleanest it can be. And it's looking at number of uses since the last clean, the latest cleanliness ratings given by users, because you could have someone do a clean and then the next person comes in and smears poop everywhere.
Right.
And then the velocity of use based both like currently, but also historically. So we talked about the Berkeley's farmers market.
Right.
Like we know that time period every week is going to be
busy.
higher, busy. And then also where they are relatively geographically in their zone. So is there another one that's kind of almost hitting that same priority that's on the way should they hit that? But that's allowing us to clean up on average about every 12 uses.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And it's allowing us to keep these phenomenal cleanliness ratings. So our average cleanliness rating nationwide is 4.3 out of 5 stars, which for a public restroom is unheard of. And then in LA,
0.
Just really phenomenal how I think we're using data to be more efficient with our resources.
I think this is like getting at what we were talking about in the car, which is essentially like there's the behavioral social component, which you've addressed in the design in many, many different ways. But then there's the operational efficiency that cities are lacking and that more than the capital improvements sometimes over time. You know what I mean? And so we had wondered, and I'd be curious your reaction to this. In the car, we were sort of like ideating, like what does this mean in terms of like scalable solutions in cities? If cities mean change and that, it probably means that we can't spend almost $2 million on a restroom site in one location, assuming that that will never change. And so do you think that your solution being semi-permanent in the sense that it's not a porta potty, but it's also not like it's not capital, is that helping with that identity of cities and change? And have you found that that's a benefit to cities, or have they been looking at that kind of negatively? Because we're so used to doing capital improvements. Like that's the job of a city.
Yeah,
you
I
know?
think it's a little bit of both. Like I think it's easier sometimes to find capital dollars than operational dollars. And I think that's a challenge
Always,
we're
yeah.
trying to tackle. And I think there's something in city mentality that like building infrastructure is the financially responsible decision. Just like most Americans think that buying a house is, right? And like you can do the math and sometimes it is and sometimes it isn't. And I think you can say the same thing about public restrooms. I do think, you know, not to have a spoiler here, but we are looking at solutions that would add data to brick and mortar.
I'm sorry, my brain's like all
We're
the
like,
things. Yeah. So one, love that because, you know, I'm thinking about some of the business improvement districts I work with that are collecting an insane amount of data of their own services. And they really understand like, oh, after the Pride Parade, start here, go here, then here, then here, then here, like year over year. And it is interesting now to think about thrown as infrastructure, thrown as service, right? And thrown as operator, because in theory, you could provide the thrown experience on top of you go into partnership. Yeah, it's an idea. I have this crazy idea, which is you partner with a parks department to say, we're going to operate your parks bathrooms from now on. And
we're going to put sensors in very specific places to create efficiencies on the operational.
and in exchange, not even exchange, and create a much better product that people can feel dignified in.
I think also our vision is to meaningfully expand access to public restrooms. And one of our growth challenges now is that we're geographically constrained. And when a city in Kansas calls us and says, hey, we want one throne, we can't service that. And so I think
because supply and operational needs dropping down a full throne.
So I think what we would like to see is a product that actually enables cities or public agencies or private sector with the insight and efficiencies that we currently benefit from. And I do think that if I had to say like what a future vision for how I would love cities to utilize throne, because I think there is a time and a place for brick and mortar restrooms. One of the things is bring, 5, 10 thrones into your city, put them down in the locations you think they're needed most, see where they're getting used. Because we've had situations where a city has asked us to go in a location that they think is high demand for restrooms, and it got used 3 times a day on average. And we were able to say, hey, it's not really delivering community value here. We moved it to a little league field and it went up to 45 average uses a day overnight. Yeah. And similarly with like the city of Ann Arbor, where we have 10 thrones, we have 5 of them in downtown serving that cute little area, saving businesses from having to be the public restroom year round. And then the other half, they're in the parks in summer. And then in the winter, they come downtown to provide overflow bathrooms for warming centers.
It's funny because I'm going to repeat back 2 things I just heard in reverse, which is 1, these can be moved. And it means that you are actually able to meet a community need through seasonality, through special events.
Changing demographics.
That's right. The other part that I just heard too, though, is, and I think this is a very exciting way to look at it, is, hey, cities, before you spend $1.7 million or whatever to build out bathrooms, let us tell you where the best places to put bathrooms are. And by extension, help you understand what the need really is going to be. Because it's one thing to say, I think a bathroom needs to go there and you end up spending all this money and no one uses it. Or you've spent money to put a bathroom in and it turns out you should have put in 5 bathrooms. And now you are spending even more money operating and maintaining that one bathroom when having more stalls, let's say, could actually have evened out the maintenance load.
Yep. And I think the other benefit that we see all the time is, people are afraid of restrooms. And there are a lot of NIMBYs that are like, we think there should be restrooms, but not in our backyard, right? Yeah. We think it's going to bring nefarious use.
The misconception.
Whatever. it is scary then to have a brick and mortar plumbed unit bathroom that has had $1 million spent on it and the city's not going to pull it out, right? That would be a mark. But if you say, hey, why don't we put a throne here for 4 to 6 months? If something's going terribly wrong, we can pick it up within 24 hours.
Right.
Give it a chance. And the number, we actually had one, not going to say the city it was in, but we had a very loud condo building that was like, this is horrible. We do not want it here. This is terrible. And we convinced them that like we could take it away if it started being a problem. And we gave it a 4-month period. Let's prove it. And then, we're like, okay, the 4 months are done. Like, would you like us to take it away? And they're like, no. We've noticed that we no longer have to prevent our dogs from eating shit.
Wow, what a vocal.
That's
What gems.
yeah. The metrics of success abound. A lot of what we're challenging our listeners and our viewers to consider is how do they advocate for solutions and innovation in this space? And so if you're talking to 2 city planners and city people right now, but to just the folks out there that recognize that this is an issue, access to public restrooms or publicly accessible restrooms, what would you have them say to their council member, to their board of supervisor, to their mayors, or to their public works directors, right, that you think would move the needle on this subject?
Yeah, I think they should just ask for public restrooms and tell them to consider throne. What we hear, we don't actually get told no, we're going with another option all that often. What we hear is it's not a budget priority. We know it's a problem, but nobody is asking for them. We hear from council people like, hey, we know restrooms are an issue. None of our constituents are calling. And so I think that people have given up on the idea that there is a public restroom that they would want to use. And I think we have now created a public restroom and service that is data-driven and smart and awesome that people want to use. And so now is the time to ask for it and say this is important, because at the end of the day, that's what moves change.
I think it's really understanding that there's a solution that people can trust and get behind. I think is one big part of it. And then I also think that when we were talking to Cortt from the small business community is that, they're the front lines of providing public restroom access and can also be the most credible voice at city council or at the cities to really show what the need is. And so I think small business paired with people who actually need access to this and knowing that it is the city's responsibility to provide basic sanitation and basic access to all of the things that make us human, the biology of humans, I think is an important one. I also would say that I think now that we have this newfound understanding that I hope that our listeners walk around and kind of just notice the throne, notice who is providing bathroom access, notice how you feel when you're in a public space and really soak it in. What do I actually have access to? What is the privilege that I have when I'm walking around in this space? Because I think that's the beginnings of starting to advocate for something, is really understanding the issue thoroughly.
Yeah, and notice how it's changing your behavior. I have been working on this company for 5 years. I still will be like, oh, I better go to the bathroom. I'm about to leave my house. And then I remember that I'm leaving my house to drive out to go see a throne. And I'm like, I'm going to a throne. I don't need to worry about it. And so even me, who's in this every day, am still realizing how much it affects my behavior.
I would also say for anybody who's working at a city right now, too, that the solution doesn't have to be $1.7 million of a permanent, maybe not going to work out 10-year capital improvement project. That doesn't have to be the solution.
Or no upfront costs.
There is a no upfront cost option. There's a data-driven solution. There's a human-powered and enabled solution. And I just feel like maybe it's just about knowing that exists as an option, as opposed to we're stuck in this very expensive, very capital intense, very NIMBY environment.
Yeah, and to electeds, I also think, they're not, we work with the city of Fairfax, and that mayor was elected on the promise to provide more restrooms. And I think, once you start asking people about it, we started this conversation, they will tell you how many people struggle with this, and they're not making it part of the common conversation.
It is such a common issue that we've all, I think, given up. And And my challenge to folks is to like kind of undo that. Great, let's talk about it.
It's just the realization that you actually have more power than you think you do.
And maybe that's a really great place for us to end, is that for all our listeners and viewers out there, this is a incredibly ubiquitous. This is an ubiquitous problem. And there are very reasonable solutions.
It's a universal problem. Yeah.
So we're challenging all of you to recognize the issue right in front of us 6 to 8 times a day, and to challenge our elected officials and our city staff to address this universal problem.
What should we cheers on or like end on? There's got to be some
Number 2.
This is the number 1 and number 2 podcast.
Yeah, oh my God.
City planning.
Get me out of here.
Boom.
What have I agreed to?